Thinking about moving to Tennessee, but you can't decide whether to move to Nashville or Chattanooga? We're here to tell you why we chose Chattanooga as our home.
Fun fact, we actually lived in Nashville for several years. That's actually where we met. And after spending time there, we decided to move to Chattanooga.
And we love Nashville. Nashville's a beautiful city, but we just love Chattanooga more.
One of the perks of living in Chattanooga is the cost of living. It is about 33% cheaper to live in Chattanooga than Nashville.
So when you buy a house in Chattanooga, you get more house for your dollar versus Nashville. Tennessee, as you know, has no income state tax. In Nashville, the property tax is 3.25, and Chattanooga is significantly less. The property tax rate in Chattanooga is 2.25. So what does that mean in payments or numbers? So in Nashville, if you buy a house that has a tax assessment for $100,000, your tax is going to be roughly $3,100 per year. In Chattanooga, if you buy a house with a tax assessment of $100,000, you're going to pay per year $2,100. So that's about a $1,000 difference without a tax assessment, again at $100,000. It depends on the house, of course, and the assessment, but that's what you're looking at. So it's a pretty significant difference, especially on an annual basis. And then even if you're looking at a course over 30 years, which 30-year loan terms, that's $30,000 at minimum. So groceries, utilities, healthcare, all of those tend to be cheaper in Chattanooga as well.
You also had to consider the commute to get from one place to another in the city. In Chattanooga, it's easy to get anywhere 30 minutes or less, which is really interesting because when we lived in Nashville, it's either 30 minutes or more, not including traffic. Here, it's nothing like that. Sure, we do have traffic, but there's plenty of ways around it. Luckily, traffic is not as bad here.
This is obvious, but Nashville is a much bigger city than Chattanooga, with a population of about 700,000 as of 2020, when Chattanooga is around the 180,000 up to 200, again, as of 2020. So we love Nashville. We had a great experience there, and the Nashville vibe met our lifestyle at that point. But they're very different lifestyles, Chattanooga versus Nashville. And with the growing population in Nashville itself, it still has that core value of the southern town, but in a bigger scale. But with Chattanooga, it's more of a comfortable southern town. It's more of an availability of wilderness, nature, hikes, while there's an urban feel to it also blended into it. Even though Chattanooga is growing very quickly, it's a compartmentalized and controlled growth as well. We're Nashville, great city, but it's just booming right now, for better or for worse.
When we lived in Nashville, we were in our 20s. It fit our lifestyle at that time. And as our family grew, we wanted to be closer to family. We wanted to be in a smaller town. Not saying Nashville can't accommodate that, but it wasn't what we were looking for. Nashville's really cool in the fact that it has a fun lifestyle. There's always something to do, whether it's going downtown, going to a Preds game, or going to a farmer's market in one of the communities. In Chattanooga, what we really like is that you still have all the amenities, but still small town feel.
Chattanooga also is very startup friendly for businesses, especially with the gig city and the tech vibe here. So if you have that drive or you're in that industry as startups or tech and or both, you're more likely to be able to start on a better foot in a smaller town like Chattanooga than opposed to Nashville with that broad competition. So let's look at the neighborhoods, right? Take Nashville, for example. You have West End, you have East Nashville, and you compare them to neighborhoods in Chattanooga like North Shore, Lookout Valley, Red Bank, which are significantly smaller. So you take those smaller neighborhoods in Chattanooga and you become part of the close-knit community and the neighborhood much more naturally. In Nashville, you have to actively put more effort into becoming part of that community because they're much bigger. Not to saying that you can't do it, it's just a bigger neighborhood versus Chattanooga.
I will say that Nashville, with its bigger cities and suburbs, like Mount Juliet, like Bellevue, or even like Green Hills, they have their own community that they like to stay within because they can get everything in that small community.
So in Chattanooga, you've got Soddy Daisy, you've got Ooltewah, you've got Red Bank, you have all these other smaller neighborhoods and communities, but it still makes sense for them to come together down in Chattanooga for events and become part of that identifiable Chattanooga. Where in Nashville, it doesn't make sense on a consistent basis for everyone to go into downtown, not Nashville, like it would in Chattanooga. So when I say Chattanooga, what do you think of?
The scenic city.
So when I say Nashville, what do you think of?
Music City and Nash Vegas.
Right, so I mean, you've got the Broadway strip there where everyone goes down there who's visiting Nashville. The events in Nashville and Chattanooga and the individuals that live there and visit those cities, they gravitate towards what identifies from those cities.
With Chattanooga's nickname being the scenic city, we have all these trails all over, and you get a view of the city, you get a view of the mountains and even the river. With Nashville, they also have trails, but the views are different and they're probably flatter. They do have Percy Warner Park, which is really cool. We used to hike there all the time, but with here, you can find more places to go to that's more easily accessible. It's really fun for kids and families alike. Let's talk about Nashville's pros. They also have a lot of cool stuff like live music every single day. They also have a lot of pro teams that a lot of people support. They have the Preds that are really good at hockey. We have the Titans football, and we just got the soccer team there. What are their names? I don't know. Compared to Nashville, Chattanooga has a lot to offer. There's the trails that we already touched on. They have the pedestrian bridge downtown, the river walk, the Tennessee Aquarium, and on Lookout Mountain, there's also Point Park, Rock City, and Ruby Falls, which are a lot of attractions for people coming in town, whether they're visiting, seeing families, or looking to move here.
So obviously, if you look up Nashville public schools, there's going to be some of the top rated schools in the state. That doesn't mean that Chattanooga has bad schools. The schools in Chattanooga, if you look them up, they're still rated average, some above. It depends on where you look. Also to consider, there's many options from the private school sector as well in both Chattanooga and Nashville.
One of the biggest factors of us moving to Chattanooga is that Patrick is from here. His whole family's here. It was a hard move, honestly.
So would you have wanted to move here if my family wasn't here already?
Honestly, probably not. Just because I wasn't familiar with the town. I had a life that we created in Nashville. We had a home that we just bought and lived in 1 year. I knew the restaurants I wanted to go to. We were between 2 Targets. Every girl's dream. It was a lot of fun and a lot of memories there. But in hindsight, after being here for 5 years, I am so thankful that we moved here. One of the biggest things is that we get to have Aislinn hang out with her family. We can take her downtown and explore. We can do a lot of fun things there. It was easy to create roots here for us. And yeah, I'm glad we did.
I'm not convinced. What's his name?
We sell in Chattanooga, but we still sell in Nashville. We help our clients there just as easily as here. So if you're looking to buy or sell in Chattanooga or Nashville, just give us a call. We'd love to help.